it's just two girls having a good time talking about, asking about their bartender and just being girls on their way to the grub truck.
Look at that, abandoned property.
Hey, who's the owner
Who lives here?
Who's here?
I can go get them real quick.
Okay, please.
Hi Grizzlies, and welcome back to another episode of Grizzly True Crime. My name is Xana K, and today we welcome special guest back to the show. I always introduce him as criminal profiler John Kelly, but did you know he's also a psychotherapist? And so this is going to be amazing insight into that probable cause affidavit and just the heat that one of the roommates is getting, the surviving roommates, which I think is really unfair right now. So welcome to John Kelly.
Well, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure and a thrill to be back with you and the Grizzlies, back with the Bear Pack. And
Yes.
Today I have my psychotherapist hat on. Okay.
Very nice. We love it. Thank you so much. So if you guys didn't know, yes, John Kelly, criminal profiler and psychotherapist. And today we're going to talk about the probable cause affidavit and some details in it. I also want to give a shout out to Heather, one of the Grizzlies, who sent me a chronological summary of the probable cause affidavit, which really helped me to make my presentation today. Saved me a bunch of time. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Any shout outs from you?
Just to the family, I mean, I'm very, very, very concerned about them. I feel, that they're going through a lot of grief. And it's the trauma that comes after the grief too, or along with the grief, and then the aftershock, after the shock, if you will. I mean, so our deepest condolences again to the family and friends of the victims.
Yeah, exactly. I saw they did a new interview as well, Kaylee's parents. So you guys, if we have some time later, I can show you that. Otherwise, I will link it for you afterwards. But yes, thinking of the families, because really now, especially seeing the face of the suspect and all the attention that's on him right now, as well as he was transported in an aircraft and everybody, it's almost like paparazzi time, which I can imagine he probably likes, unfortunately. Do you agree with that? Do you think he's loving the attention?
I think he's loving the attention to some extent, but I really feel too, after he read that affidavit, that his heart fell right through the floor, because I'm going to tell you, it's scathing. I mean, he is really, really in trouble. And again, I have to keep hollering this out from the hills. Suicide watch, because, I saw this happen with Israel Keys, and he skated because he got them to free him up a little. And as soon as they freed him up a little bit, because he said he would talk more about cases, he killed himself. And you cannot be tried once you're dead.
Mm-hmm. They were saying, I don't know if this is a rumor or not, because lately what's being reported all over mainstream media, sometimes it's like, look at this, like the car stops were planned. And then 2 days later, okay, they were not planned. The FBI comes forward and says, no, we didn't plan those. So I'm not too sure what's true or not, but they were saying he's in a glass cell all by himself on suicide watch. Suicide watch is great. Glass cell, man, he's going to feel like freaking Hannibal Lecter right now. I hate it. He needs to be segregated, but I'm like, oh no, he's probably loving all of this.
Well, it depends on that narcissism level. He may love it to the max.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, don't be surprised if he wants his final act, his final staging, to be representing himself in court like Ted Bundy,
Oh, yeah, exactly. And I hope he doesn't escape like Ted Bundy. Keep him in that glass cage.
Absolutely. Yeah, no escape. We don't need to see any escapes. But I'll be honest with you. I think Ted Bundy was a little bit more intelligent than this fella.
Yeah.
This guy's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. You know what I mean?
Right?
He's not doing brain surgery anytime soon.
Right. That's actually what you said when you were profiling the killer in this case. I mean, not only did you say that this is very likely a stalker, and that's proved to be true. He was there 12 times, at least on 12 occasions, 11 of those in the evening or early hours of the morning, one time in the day, which actually is what got him that seatbelt infraction. So that was true as well. But that you said they're not the sharpest tools in the shed. That's one of the not the sharpest pencil in the box.
That's a good one. Yeah. And Frank brought up too about the mileage, something I had forgotten about, but he taught me this a while ago. I mean, the mileage these guys put on their cars, you would have no idea. You just wouldn't believe how much traveling and looking they do in stock the car and scoping out the situation and everything. I mean, so yeah, we were right on with that, and thanks God. But I mean, it just it worked out well for us. We had some good hits there.
Yes, and I mean he also
you were talking about him being a stalker too. You don't even have a profiling hand.
Am I a budding criminal profiler? I'm being taught by the best, you guys. I'm absorbing all the knowledge, taking all the notes. Right? I wanted to say you also used to run apparently 6 miles in the early hours of the morning with a friend. Because the one guy came forward and said, I can't believe I was running with this guy, like sometimes 6 miles at night. Like this guy probably even ran there, maybe sometimes without the phone. The 12 times are with his phone there. But maybe sometimes even ran there and just watched and ran back. Oh, man.
Very possible. I could see him sitting out back there in the darkness, looking into those into those windows, into the lit up room, at these beautiful girls. I mean, I could see him doing that.
Yes. Oh, man. Okay.
He's creepy. Real creepy looking kind of guy.
He really is. Yeah, he really is. Do you think, did he think he was going to be exonerated and this would be his doctoral thesis?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I'll tell you, boy, I mean, we just heard all along how smart he is going to be the perfect crime. This guy's going for his doctorate and whatever, his doctorate in dumbness, maybe, I mean, this guy, like, and I said this from the beginning when we got the information. I mean, this was moronic, I mean, this is, I mean, you paid all that money for all this schooling to, learn how to get yourself caught every which way under the sun. I mean,
literally within 47 days.
And you and I know, a lot of people thought, oh, it's a long time, but you and I knew 47 days means nothing, compared to some of the other cases like Delphi and everything, years, and 47, do you realize in 47 days, law enforcement was able to sift through all that DNA and trace evidence, all that phone evidence, the digital evidence, right? Get the DNA evidence, run it through the ancestry situation .com or whichever ancestry service they used, right?
Yep.
Pick up a hit. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I make mistakes on this at times. Pick up a hit on his aunt, okay, and trace it back to him, right? Now, after all, I mean, first of all, that's mind-blowing. That's mind-blowing. They were able to do that so quickly, right? But then the other side of it is, take a look at him. Take a look at his behavior. I mean, if you are an honest doctoral student at the college and you happen to have a white Elantra, I mean, shouldn't you, and you've tried to do an internship with the Pullman police, right? I mean, wouldn't it be nice to just go over and you know, help them out and say, hey guys, look at, you know, I happen to have a white Elantra and, you know, I'm a student over here and everything. I just want to bring that to your attention. So, you know, you don't have to put any time into eliminating me. You know, you can look for the culprit, look for the killer here, right?
Yes.
I mean, you know, but see, a reasonable person who would be, I believe, feel that they were innocent would do something like this, you know,
Yes.
would approach the police and say, hey, look, you know, like Frank Adamson drove a Volkswagen like Bundy's when Bundy was running loose in Seattle. You know,
Yep.
Frank had to bring that to their attention. Hey guys, you know, I'm taking class over here at the college, so, and I am driving a Volkswagen like the one you're looking for, so you understand. I mean,
Yes.
that's just courtesy. It's just a courtesy to the people you're going to be having a career with. I mean, he had a career in law enforcement. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? So, I mean, this is also telling. It's also telling.
It is. It is. I mean, ooh, and that knife sheath that he left behind. Wow. My goodness.
know,
That was a huge mistake.
It's a mistake. It's a mistake because they got his DNA, right? But you know, the problem I have, and I'm still not sure, I'm kicking this around in my mind, was he trying to do some staging? Because a knife sheath is like a holster you carry your gun in, right?
Yeah.
And you use the gun, you put it in the holster. You use the knife, you put it in the sheath. Okay, so you know, I mean, I understand stupid, I understand dumb, right? But I mean, this is way over the edge. So I say to myself, wow, man, was he that dumb? Yeah, it's hard to believe. Because then what did he carry the knife out with? See?
Yes.
What did he carry the knife out with? You'd have to believe there's some blood on it or it's dripping or something. So it'd have to be like in a bag or something. He'd have to carry it out in his pocket. He wouldn't want to get that in on his clothes or whatever. So I'm thinking to myself, was this his big smart move where he was going to fool everybody? He was going to set it up and stage it where anybody that came in would find the knife sheath with United States Marine Corps insignia on, and of course the name right across it, which, you know, is really, I think, the reason why K-bar knives were invented anyway for the Marine Corps, I think. Okay. So I'm thinking to myself, well, if they got his DNA on it, then he probably forgot it. But did they say they got fingerprints too? Or did he have gloves on? But if he had gloves on, they couldn't touch it. They couldn't get his DNA. So this is all going through my mind. So, you know, did he have it and touch it earlier with his hands, then put gloves on it, then do the deed, then try and stage with it, and maybe wiped it so there was no fingerprints, but on some part of it, he didn't get off the DNA. I don't
on the
know.
button. They say on the button in the probable cause affidavit. Yeah.
On the button. So I don't know if I'm right, wrong, or what. And I'm not saying this is a fact. I'm just saying it keeps my mind going, you know?
Yes. Yes. So, and then the shoe print as well. It seems like he was wearing Vans shoes. Like we were thinking, you know, was he in tactical gear? Was he? Did he go in all prepared? Is he super smart and calculated? But like he was wearing Vans. He left the knife sheath behind. He was wearing a mask over his face and all dressed in black, as one would assume. But then there's that white Elantra outside. And every camera in 2022, there's so many cameras that picked up on the white Elantra. I don't know how he thought he's going to be driving around. not being picked up by cameras. And then he's like, aha, but smart plan though. My license plate, I'm going to get a new one. It's about to expire. Wow.
Yeah, well, the funny part about that is he stood out like a sore thumb because up there you have 2 license plates, one on the front and one on the back. But in the
Yes.
state of Pennsylvania, you only have 1 license plate on the back. So
Mhm.
I think in his mind was, uh-oh, I'm going to stand out being from another state, them looking for possibly somebody that was passing through and was the killer. So let me try and blend in and put the Washington license plates on. I don't know, right, wrong, or indifferent, but of course, you know, I have to go over everything, right? So I have to look at
Yes.
it different ways, you know?
Yes. Don't worry. We're going to go. I just want to see the time. Okay. So we're still good. What we really want to address today, you guys, is of course the only person to be angry at and to blame and all of this, even though he's innocent or proven guilty in a court of law, is Bryan Kohberger, the suspect. I mean, from everything we read, damn, I don't know how his defense is going to fight that. But I don't understand why people are so angry with Dylan. And not on that page. So if all of you are disappointed by that, no, I'm just not on that page because we don't know the circumstances exactly. Like why? That's why I brought John Kelly on to tell us a little bit about the possibilities of like, why would there be 7.5 hours or so passing between when Dylan saw this man that she said was dressed all in black with a mask on with bushy eyebrows, leaving out the sliding door, and then calling 911. There's so many reasons. And people are just like, no, she must have. But we're assuming, right? And visualizing things that maybe are not true. So I'm going to show you this cooler.co.post. I'm going to show you this. I'll link it below. But it's a very nice like virtual walkthrough as well that you can play around with and turn around yourself. Thank you to everyone who sent me this as well. I saw it on Twitter too. So thanks for that. So we're going to look at that because this is the room on the second floor where Dylan was actually staying. So this guy would have walked down the stairs and Dylan would have been peeping through the door here. So I don't know if she just saw a side profile with the bushy eyebrows and the mask and the black clothes or what, but it's a college house. There's so many people going in and out of this house. You know, it wouldn't be like her immediate assumption wouldn't be, oh, everybody's been murdered. That's it. I'm going to freeze, close my door, and go to sleep. And then I'll just deal with it tomorrow. You know, we don't know. She probably just thought, who's that guy? So what are your thoughts?
Yeah,
John Kelly?
I think there's a lot of different issues at play. First of all, you know, we can look at, was she afraid? How afraid was she? Was she really traumatized? Because with trauma, you know, I mean, it's not only fight or flight in a dangerous situation, it's freeze, like you brought up.
Yes.
So did she freeze? Did she not think that much of it for whatever reason? Because like you said, there's so many different students that have come in and out of there over the times, over the years, or how long she was there. Because you know, we know there was a lot of parties at that house. I'm sure, you know, all the girls have seen a lot. Okay.
Yes.
But again, you know, when she's wondering, you know, am I calling the police on, you know, somebody that didn't do something wrong? The only thing that bothers me is the mask, you know, the mask. But wait a second too. Aren't we talking about hearing somebody whimpering and a soft voice or a voice telling them, you know, it'll be okay. I'll help
Yes.
you.
Yes.
And she's the one that heard that. She heard that. Is that correct?
Yeah. She apparently heard that a male voice said, because she heard some sort of crying or something, and then she heard a male
Yes,
voice say,
yes,
it's
yes.
okay, I'll help you.
Yeah, yeah. Then she sees this guy come out and walks down the steps all dressed in black. I've got to believe that she was traumatized. I really want to believe she was traumatized. And you know what? She's not to blame at all here for whatever her actions were,
Yeah.
because especially if she was traumatized, I mean, some people will act on it. Some people, you never know how a person's going to respond to a situation like that. The one concern I have is, that she stood up and she did the right thing. She was totally honest with the police on what her part was and how she was involved here. And
Yes.
again, all her trauma, all their debts, everything goes back to Bryan Kohberger. Okay. This is about Bryan Kohberger and what he did. This is
Yes.
not about the people that were traumatized or murdered after the fact. And I mean, there's a lot of people traumatized, not only Dylan. I mean, there's families and all kinds of kids traumatized and never get over this, but especially for her seeing the guy, so in my mind, what Bryan Kohberger did, he not only killed those people in that house, killed those kids in that house,
Mm-hmm.
he turned around and gave Dylan a life sentence of misery.
Yes.
A life sentence, because you never forget a traumatic event like this.
Mm-hmm.
You never get over it. It's easy for other people to talk about it who haven't been up close and personal with it. But when you're in anything that your brain says, "Uh-oh, life-threatening," and then the next day to hear about what the guy did that she saw, I mean,
That must be.
guilt that may drip down on her. Okay, and she has to live with herself. Okay,
Yes.
regardless of what her decision was, she's gonna need counseling. She's going to need to be in a lot of therapy. She's going to suffer. I believe, just my opinion. Okay, I'm not diagnosing her or evaluating her or anything else. I don't know her, never met her, but from what I've heard, she's going to need a lot of therapy, and she's going to suffer. She's going to suffer immensely from nightmares. She's going to suffer from night terrors.
Mm-hmm.
That can go on for years, because you're very hard for your brain to forget a traumatic event. Extreme and almost impossible. It will always remember that.
Yes.
That fight, flight, or freeze response, because you were so
Yes.
terrified. So I have major concerns, because he's a major big guy compared to her, with the mask on, all dressed in black. But see, the other part of this too, she is the prosecution's key witness,
Yes.
physical witness here. And I think we have to also take that into consideration too, on what she has to look forward to in prosecuting this guy. She's obviously coming forth and doing all the right things. I just, if he's the killer, damn Bryan Kohberger for all this damage to all these girls.
Yes. Yes.
And
Exactly.
Ethan too, and all the families. This guy's caused a lot of damage,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
physical and mental.
Exactly. Someone was actually correcting me and saying, based on the probable cause affidavit, he could have actually come from Xana's room. He could have gone through the sliding door, upstairs first, and attacked Maddie and Kaylee, then come back downstairs and gone this way, and then into this bedroom where Xana and Ethan were. So in passing Dylan, he would go this way and back out there. So if we just turn this around quickly, sorry, I'll make it bigger, you guys. If we just turn it around quickly, then it means he would have come around this corner, okay? And here's the door of Dylan's room. So he would have come around that corner and just immediately made a turn out here. So still, through peeping through this crack in the door, I don't know if he would have seen it or not. And based on the adrenaline he might have been experiencing, because he's not just, I'm sure he won't feel nothing, depending. But like he would have come through here and gone out that sliding door, and that's where she maybe saw him. But as we said before, also TheGlarer, welcome. You say, I think there's so much activity in that house at all hours, and she was more afraid of overreacting. No rational person jumps to the conclusion that there's a random killer in their house. And that's the point. No one's going to be like, whoa, who's that guy? And then feel like a little. Yeah, and she said frozen. She was frozen, like in fear, but she must have been like, damn, like who's that guy? And then gone to bed, not thinking, who's that guy? Oh my word, 4 people were murdered. That's it. Let me just wait 7 or 8 hours and call. It's just illogical. People are just so quick to blame this lady, you know? So I'm so grateful to have you here talking about trauma responses. Never mind if this wasn't a trauma response. This could be a normal college girl's response. People were in and out of that house all the time. And you just don't know, like, what she was thinking at that moment. Like, wait, who is this guy? That's weird. I'm hearing all these weird noises. There's a guy saying, don't worry, I'm going to help you. There's Murphy the dog's like barking, and she thought Kaylee was playing with the dog. She didn't hear murder sounds and ignore it. She just saw this weirdo coming down the stairs and like, oh, okay. And they went to bed. Like, okay, well, he left. Thank goodness. All right. Time to go to bed type thing. It could be that. Could be that.
Absolutely. Right. And it could be, well, you know, not knowing he's a killer. Am I calling the cops and having them here and wake everybody up in this house, you know, at 4 a.m, and, you know, because some guy just got done partying and was leaving. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what was going through her mind. She only knows. But I will tell you, I will also tell you, none of us knows what our reaction would be or what we would feel if we were in her shoes up close and personal, you know, with a psycho killer kind of guy that we do know now, or even then, we don't know how afraid or terrified she was. I definitely believe he went to the 2nd floor first, then he went up to the 3rd floor. I might be wrong. I do not believe he went to the 3rd floor first and then the 2nd floor on his way out. I don't believe that. I don't believe that, because if he's on the 3rd floor and somebody from the 2nd floor, Ethan or whoever, gets on to him, right? I mean, that would be Xana, right? I mean, they could run down, one of them could get out and run down the steps. So the major threat would be the guy, if he knew he was there, Ethan, which I suspect he did. I don't know. Maybe didn't. I don't know. This guy's not too bright. I don't know. So, I mean, you'd want it. It's a lot easier to take care of anybody on that 2nd floor, and then you're free to do what you want to do on the 3rd floor. You don't have to worry about somebody running out and escaping and getting away, hearing something from the 3rd floor and getting out and calling the cops. Once you neutralize that 2nd floor, then you pretty much can, you know, do what you want to do on the 3rd floor without worry, because the other people are 2 floors down now, right? So, you know, the other people that are occupying the house. So that's just my take on it. We'll find out.
Yes. So the thing is, you guys, there's lots of possibilities. Firstly, she could have seen him and frozen and been like, what the hell is that? And then gone to bed or closed the door thinking, that's weird. Let me just lock my door, you know? But also the first response, as we say, is not going to be like, ooh, let me call 911, because they've already had so many noise complaints there. You know, the police are going to come out. They're going to wake up all the neighbors, make a big noise. They don't necessarily want that. They had, as college kids would, many police officers out there, especially this house, for noise complaints and stuff. And she's probably like, okay, well, that was weird. But if we think of all scenarios, which a lot of times in true crime, people think of the worst case scenario. So let's say that she saw him and he's holding the knife or something. I don't know what people are imagining. I think he wouldn't be like walking with it, but you never know. And she sees this and he's covered in blood, which again, you won't see that necessarily at night, but let's say the worst case scenario. Even then, as I said yesterday, trauma response, which unfortunately I know a lot about personally, would be fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or dissociate. We don't know what kind of trauma she's been through. There's a lot of variables there too. If her go-to coping mechanism is dissociate, if 8 hours could feel like 5 minutes in that scenario, you know. Absolutely. So I just thank you to TheGlarer as well for your comment earlier. I agree with you. I agree. Yes. Yeah, not a ski mask. They said a mask over mouth and nose. Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Getting back to the sheet. So if he left the sheet up where he left it, is he walking out of the house with the knife all blood? I mean, that's pretty much the image you just, showed up there portrayed. I mean, that's a very good possibility, because where is the knife? Where is it? If it's not in the sheet's upstairs, he's leaving. I mean, where is the knife?
That's the thing. Where is it?
That's why I'm concerned about that sheet a little bit, but more will be revealed, hopefully.
But that's what I'm saying. That's like worst case scenario. If he's walking like an absolute evil monster, walking with the knife, dripping in blood. I mean, still the possibility of how one would react. I don't know why people throw shade at that. That makes me kind of nervous myself of like, damn, if you're like, why didn't she do this? And why didn't she do that? Well, have you been through trauma? She's going to be going through that every day, all the time, for the rest of her life, probably. Why did I freeze? Why did I not think outside the box? Why did I not realize that 4 of my friends had just been brutally murdered? It's just tough.
And for people, but also it's really reasonable and understandable for people who have not experienced trauma in their life.
Yeah.
To ask those questions, because unless you've, it's like, I guess, I'll use a Grizzly cliche in a way here. Unless you've flown a jet plane, you don't know what the experience is of flying a jet plane. Or if you parachute out of a plane, unless you've parachuted out of a plane, you don't know what it's like, the experience of parachuting out of a plane, So it's the same thing with a traumatic, life-threatening situation. Unless you've endured one, throughout your life up close and personal, it's really hard to even have any understanding. And it doesn't have to be life-threatening. Trauma can just be a sense of danger, extreme danger, and an almost car accident you could have nightmares of for.
Yes.
It all depends on the person and their brain. So I understand why people have different opinions on this. That's normal for them to.
That's important.
Have an understanding of trauma.
That's a good point, because everyone, like I myself, you guys, I'm not trying to silence anyone. I understand the questions. I'm just really concerned about the absolute flood of attacking Dylan. The outrage, the everything, but like, why? This poor girl. And Sheila says Dylan and Bethany couldn't have prevented this. I mean, the coroner said they had fatal stab wounds to the chest. Everyone was stabbed multiple times. Kaylee's dad said gouges, and they said so much. I mean, we saw if it is blood running outside the house, all this stuff, it was very hectic. So the point is, how would Dylan reacting sooner have helped either way?
Yeah, and there's no doubt about that, because the deed was already done. He already did the evil deed.
Yes. Yeah.
My concern would be now really helping, Dylan, get herself together mentally and physically, really helping her through this, giving her all the support she needs, to become stable and to get through this, because the bottom line is she is the major key witness, as far as I know so far.
Yes.
And that means she has to face him in court if they go to court. She has to be cross-examined after going through all this by his defense attorney. I mean, so Dylan, because of Bryan Kohberger, has been thrown into a pot of boiling oil just for opening her door.
Oh man, exactly. Wow. He's like, she slept for 7 hours. That's not even abnormal. When I go to bed at 4 in the morning, I'm going to sleep for 7 hours. And believe it or not, I do sleep, you guys. Yes. Big question. Do you sleep? Yes, you're gonna, especially at that time. And someone just said she may have been on Molly, or she may have, taken drugs. She may have been out drinking that night. We don't know the substance state either. Imagine we don't know anything about her. So imagine if she suffers from something which maybe at some point I'm making a random speculation here, but if she like hallucinates and she thinks that's weird, like, whoa, am I hallucinating this? Okay, I better get to bed. You don't know that either?
We don't know neither. What we do know is she really followed through and did the right thing.
Yes.
The next day and was able to really help the police, especially with those bushy eyebrows, those dark bushy eyebrows, because then that fell into line with the other evidence they were coming up with on our suspect. Certainly he's innocent until proven guilty, but he's the suspect right now, Bryan Kohberger.
Exactly. That's the guy we should be channeling all these, I don't know, the outrage towards.
Oh, this goes further than any of us will ever know. This is like a tsunami. It's like a tsunami hitting a coastline. You just don't know all the damage that takes place.
Yes, exactly. Wow. So let me quickly look at this. I made a presentation for us. I know you don't have too much time today. So it's the probable cause affidavit chronological timeline. Again, thanks to Heather for sending me some bullet points, which really helped me, verify this as well. Write this out and be like, okay, let me cross-check. It saved me a bunch of time. So from June to November 13th, Bryan had stalked the victims 12 times at least, based on the phone pings at the house. 11 times were in the late evening or early morning hours, which is like a practice run, right? Because that's when he went there. He went there between. That's also quite something. That's a good one to talk about too. He was in there from 4:04 until 4:20 a.m. So that sounds short, but for a killer, isn't that actually quite long? You know what I mean? Like to him, it might feel like 2 hours, but in that state, don't you think it would actually? It's actually quite long.
Yeah, that is because the girls were pretty much tired out, I believe, and he's got to deal with Ethan. This guy was in pretty damn good shape. Okay, we have to keep that in mind. He was running a lot, like you were saying. He's got this knife. These people are tired. This guy's running on rage-filled adrenaline. Okay, I mean, he's just completely amped up. He's going in there and boom, 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 boom. He's doing whatever he wants to do. He's overpowering everybody. And again, you have to understand, Ethan was athletic. I mean, Ethan was no slouch. Okay, Ethan could take care of himself. I mean, this guy killed 4 people in, I'd say, pretty quickly with a knife. It's not like we had a guy go in there with a gun. I mean, maybe some of that training he had when he was trying to become a ranger. There is, like I told you, I did the infantry part, but I never wanted to be a ranger. But I mean, you do learn hand-to-hand combat, and you do learn how to use a knife. I mean, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We were trained with that many, many years ago. So, I mean, this guy did a lot in a short period of time, and who knows what was going on in his mind? Because, like you talked about the disassociation, I've even talked to serial killers about disassociation. And I some of them I believe, some I don't believe. I mean, but I think it's a lot easier for them. It depends if it goes along with the fantasy or not. It depends if it goes along with the fan. That's the way I boil it down. So, but so now this guy is coming down, and again, when you have a dead body on your hands or dead bodies on your hands, you just want to put miles between those dead bodies and you. And every mile, every so many feet you take in that car, you're not only putting that space between you, but you're putting other people between you too, because anybody can be considered a suspect right after the murders.
Yes. He thought it was very clever driving to Lewiston and then back to Pullman and then putting his trash in the neighbor's trash, wearing surgical gloves everywhere. He thought he was very clever.
Yeah. And then how about probably the only time ever he turned the phone off, and then he turns it off and it's off while he's doing his deed, and then it goes back on. I think I have that right, not sure. But I mean, just really should get some of his money back from college if that's what if that's what he learned, because
yes,
I mean, there are too many mistakes, and I'm glad they got him as fast as they did, because if he is the guy, he is a live wire that never needs to be let out of a cage.
You did say he's going to be in the cage, and then he is in the cage now.
There's another one in the cage.
That was quite something, you guys. When John Kelly was on the show right before New Year's, I'm like, the only way we'd be together again before New Year's if this guy is caught. Like 2 days later, December 31st, you guys were there with us with the fireworks. He was in a cage. Damn.
Cage him. Yeah.
This is a good point. How do we know he didn't turn around and wiggle her door handle? We've received the bare minimum details. Exactly. The probable cause affidavit doesn't have everything in it. In fact, it's got a lot in it. So can you imagine how much more they know?
That's what I was saying yesterday to somebody.
Yes.
This is only what they put in it now. What more do they have they're holding back on?
Yes. Oh, wow. I mean, I didn't expect that much detail or so many pages. It's like, let's just quickly read through it. Well, damn, 19 pages of it. Wow. In so much detail. Goodness. So, yes, I've just got everything here just from the timeline and everything. I'm just leaving it on there so you guys can read it while we're talking as well. As we saw, Murphy did bark. Murphy was in Kaylee's room. Xana and Ethan were discovered deceased on the second floor in Xana's room. I say that because, there's still things going around. Was Ethan in the kitchen? Was this one there? They were in Xana's room, and Kaylee and Maddie deceased on a single bed in Maddie's room. And Jack Decora was already interviewed on November 13th. Okay. I don't know what this feigned death. What about, okay, so there's a question for you, John. What about feigned death?
When we're talking about feigned death, what exactly do you mean by that?
That's what I'm wondering. I'm thinking maybe she feigned death is what they're saying. I don't know, but I'm not too sure what that means either. Sorry, Lissa. Let us know. Seeing that him and going to bed for that long, something's wrong. Street smart friends are the ones you want then, unfortunately. Seeing that him and going to bed for that long, something's wrong. So this is what I mean. I want to address comments like this. What do you think about this? So someone's saying, well, seeing him and then going to bed for so long, there's something wrong with that. What would you say to that?
I would say it's fear-based trauma. I am not going to even speculate or go near that this girl was under the influence of any kind of drugs or anything like that.
Yes.
Because that's what a defense attorney is going to go to work on too at the trial. All right. So and it would only be speculation on our part. It would only be speculation. We don't know what was going. But I would have to believe she was scared, and again the fear, the freezing. Not fighting with them, not taking flight, just like freezing in her bed. And, do you really want to wake up after you experience something like that? You're asleep, right? I mean, or some people will never be able to get to sleep, or some people there's people that would have went out hollering at him, hey, who are you? What are you doing here? There's people that would have went and called the police. Yes. I mean, there's many different things that could have happened here. but I just think it was there was just a lot of fear. She could have been barricading her door.
Yes.
No, I mean, I know I will be the guy out there in the hall. I'd be calling too, but before I'd call, I'd make sure that damn door couldn't be opened.
Yes.
Let it back in, or have a pistol or something, because I mean, this is only getting worse. I mean, the trauma here. Is she going to hear, "Oh, it's okay, I'll help you"? Were those the words that he tried to soothe her with? It was something like that. I have it written here somewhere.
Well, she apparently heard a male voice. I don't know if I don't think he was speaking to her. She heard some sort of whimpering, and then like, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Yeah. How scary.
Sure, that's him. Yeah. That's who she, yeah. So she's hearing that, she's hearing somebody crying, right? And then the next thing she's not hearing anything. She's hearing this guy come down the steps.
Yes.
Whoa, what happened now?
Mm-hmm.
How did he help her? How did he take care of her? And again, what you're talking about, what did she see besides what's left out of that affidavit? Where is that knife? It's not in the sheet. We know there's got to be blood on it.
Yes.
If the sheet in some way was staging, and I'm not saying it was, if it was in some way, then he's got the knife in something else, a bag or something, or he's carrying it in his hand. He's walking out the door, and he's disassociated, and he's used up all his adrenaline, and he's, I can't emphasize how these guys, how fearful they get after they do the deed. I mean, after they do the deed, they become extremely fearful and paranoid, and they just want to get away from what they've done and the bodies they've left behind.
Yes, exactly. That's what you were saying. They can think, wait, I mean, for him, he didn't have to think too hard. What did I do wrong? Did I leave something behind? And you did. You did. You left a very critical piece of evidence behind, and a shoe print.
You did.
And
they got his DNA on that sheet. Yeah. He's toast. He's toast. And if he had rubber gloves on, then they couldn't have gotten it through the rubber gloves. So that means, he had it brushing against his leg or something, or he was touching that buckle. And even though he wiped it off, he may not have touched that button or whatever you call it on there.
Yes.
Yeah. And here's one of your some of your audience saying he could have threatened her. He might have said that to her. He may have been all out of energy and said, don't call the cops, or I'll be right outside. I'll come back and kill you. That's gone on a million times. We've seen that.
Yes, exactly. So let me put this on, then we can get back to that picture there. Where were the victims found? Xana and Ethan were located in Xana's room, and Kaylee and Maddie were located in Maddie's room in a single bed. And if you look at the front door, on the right-hand side would be that empty-ish room, which is more like a storeroom. On the left-hand side of the front door, bottom floor, that would be Bethany's room, referred to in the PCA as the probable cause affidavit as BF. And then Dylan's room would be on that second floor, as we saw going up the stairs there, before going up the stairs. So, so there's that. And then the button again, the picture that I had there is this, where his DNA was found.
There it is, yeah. Great.
Yeah, and they matched the DNA, the familial DNA, by taking the trash at his parents' house and matching it to his dad. So that's how they found that. Wow.
They were on him fast. I don't care what anybody says. In a complicated case like this, they were on him fast.
They really were. This was amazing. From the beginning, I'm like, this law enforcement is great. And people they want to shade this law enforcement. I don't know why. They did so well. They communicated with everyone,
Great teamwork. It was great teamwork. FBI, state police, and locals. Great teamwork. Great science.
Yes.
That took place here.
Thank you, Copper Horse. Damn. Copper Horse is spoiling me here and saying, who would even think your friends were just murdered? No one. This house reportedly had a lot of traffic that Dylan might not have expected anything horrific happened. Please stop victim blaming. Facts will come out at the trial. And I agree. She's been through so much. Imagine the fear, even wherever she's going to stay now. And she has to continue her studies and everything.
Oh, I absolutely. I mean, there's no question about it. This lady has been dealt. I mean, Dylan has been dealt a life of hell by Bryan Kohberger. Okay, I
Yes.
mean, he's the one that needs to. Remember we were talking about what's new in their system, what changed in their system. Bryan Kohberger. That's a change. The
Yes.
whole system. Changed the whole system.
Exactly. He's still innocent until proven guilty, but man, the probable cause affidavit, what a sick man based on that.
He's in
Goodness me.
trouble. He's in major trouble.
He is. And he's so confident. Did you see him? Did you see the hearing yesterday? He's so like, yes, I understand. And he just seems so cocky and confident and like he believes he's going to be exonerated. Wow.
What's he doing, a Bundy?
It seems like he might be doing a Bundy. I think in his head, he thinks he's probably going to escape twice too.
Yeah, well, he's got to have an extremely high degree of narcissism.
Yeah. That ego is driving everything.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's going to drive him right into a death sentence if he's the guy and he's convicted. I have to
Yes.
say, I can't say he's guilty until he's proven guilty.
And what are your thoughts? I mean, I'm sure he's thinking that professor that he was studying under, Professor Ramsland, I'm sure he's thinking, oh my word, I'm going to talk to her as if he's like, it's like, I don't know. Clarice was not a professor, but you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm going to like be in the glass cage and she's going to talk to me and study me and I'm going to get all this attention and write books. Do you think there's going to be movies and books and things? Probably, right? But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, he's going. This case is so horrifying and so chilling. There will be movies. I bet on that. I mean, this isn't going away anytime soon. Believe me when I tell you. I don't know if Professor Ramsland, she's a pretty stand-up person. I don't know if she'll go talk with him or not. I know her through
Yes.
a couple of friends of mine. She's very professional, very smart. I don't think she'll put herself out there. I don't know what the code of ethics is for professors and students. Can you ever talk about a student that you've had outside? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of ethical dilemmas here, I think.
Yes.
For her, I don't know if she'd ever want to be associated with them. I think he's wrong. I think there's other people that would come and study him.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly wouldn't be interested. Yeah, I mean, there may be other people that would be there. I'm sure there are people that are interested that, that would go and listen to him and, and he would try and show them how smart he is.
Yes.
That's what they do. They try to, show you how smart they are. So,
Yes, you've spoken to serial killers before, murderous
well,
serial killers. So, I'm saying it in case someone doesn't know. I don't know if you can mention who you've spoken to, or just generally what it's like, because I'm pretty sure they would, think that they're so smart, smarter than everyone in the room. Got it all figured out.
Corresponded with our boy Gacy that you wrote a book on. Henry Lee Lucas. Corresponded with Bobby, spoke up close and personal with Henry Lee Lucas. Bobby Joe Long, corresponded with him. He was on death row in Florida. I had a fantastic assistant. She happened to be a beautiful girl at the time. And he said, Bobby Joe Long said he wasn't interested in talking to me, but he would be more than happy to meet with her and give her some answers if she would come and see him. So that ended the negotiation with Bobby Joe Long, and then they executed him down in Florida. And then smiley face killer, Keith Hunter Jesperson. We did telephone interviews with him on Dark Minds. That's still on Dark Minds. If anybody wants to listen to any of that feedback, any of those calls, you can hear them on there. A lot of people weren't sure he was a serial killer or not. Take my word for it, because we didn't have permission at the time to put him out there. But that is Keith Hunter Jesperson, the smiley face killer, on those calls.
And in your opinion, do you think that this guy was a budding serial killer, or do you think, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like he wanted to be, but he made so many mistakes he was never gonna be. But what do you think?
Oh yeah, if he had his wish, he wanted to become infamous. I think an infamous serial killer. You know, he reminds me of a little bit. I have to go over this a little bit more in my mind. But you know, the Zodiac. Remember the Zodiac killed couples a lot of the times, but he really took it out on women more so than the men, stabbing the women. A couple of the women were stabbed pretty bad. And then he started taunting the police and, you know, sending letters to the newspaper and everything, you know.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Now, he was after fame. Zodiac was after tons of fame. This guy here, I believe, too, that he just can't get enough fame. I think fame is his drug of choice, along with, you know, sexually dominating women his way.
Yes.
I think he's definitely addicted to that. He has a sexual addiction that is extremely dark. I think he's a picarist. Part of me thinks he's a picarist. Big part of me. But we're not totally there yet. We need more. As we talked about before with Frank, the stabbing that went on. Well, we never felt we had enough information to do a profile anyway, but something we were thinking about, picarism.
Yes, picarism. If you guys missed that, I will go over it again. I know John Kelly has to go very soon. He's got lots on his plate at the moment. Everybody's wanting to talk to John Kelly. Busy. And again, we're here on a Friday. Thank you for being here, everyone. Do you have any closing thoughts? Because I think you got to go in like 2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts?
You know, the only thing I think we have to do is be open-minded. I would suggest people try and be open-minded when it comes to Dylan. Think of what she's gone through. Think, if we can even imagine what she's going to have to go through, you know, if there's a trial. Yes. I mean, you know, so she's got a long journey ahead, and she's carrying a full load of trauma. And again, you know, some of the other side effects from trauma are depression, anxiety, of course, in general. The post-traumatic stress is actually diagnosed as an anxiety disorder. You know, so, you know, she's really carrying a very heavy cross. She's got a heavy cross to bear because of Bryan Kohberger. Okay. Yes. Any of her reactions, whether you can understand them or not understand them, are due to Bryan Kohberger. Let's not lose sight of that. And you know, let's not lose sight of how we would act unless we're in the same situation, you know, and going through the same kind of traumatic experience.
Yes.
So I do have to go, and I want to thank you, and I want to thank your fans and all your audience. The Grizzlies are the best, okay?
All right. Yes, Grizzlies, you're the best, you see. So I'll be sure to link your channel and your book and everything again afterwards, as I always do. I'll show it to them. I wish you a wonderful afternoon ahead. I'm going to stay here with the Grizzlies, so Grizzlies, hang in there. And thank you for coming here last minute to share your insight with us. I felt it was very important to talk about this situation with the surviving roommate. So thank you.
Very, very important. And thank you very much. And everybody, have a good weekend and enjoy. Thank you. Bye now.
Thank you. Okay, bye. All right, everyone. Thank you. I'm still here with you guys because we still got lots to share as well. Let's see what Bonnie said here. Bonnie said Cora Amero hid for 6 hours under a bed, thinking that Richard Speck was still in the house. Don't help the defense by doubting DM. Exactly. We we want this defense to be as strong as possible, so doubting Dylan would not be a good idea. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Sorry, I can't get to all the questions, especially when there's super stickers, but I really, really appreciate it. I see them all. And thank you again. Thank you, mods, for also taking care of those. All right, so we've still got things to work through here. Of course, I do have my presentation for you, and we're going to look at that virtual tour again. So let's just quickly go through this. I want to read this one. It says, thank you, Katie Bird. If I was 20 and in her spot, I could have made myself dismiss it, even my fear. Sounds, drunk people, crying, someone helping. Helping. Creepy guy looked like he left and scared, could have talked herself out of it as if being dramatic. Poor kid. Exactly, right? She could have been like, oh, never mind. Maybe it's like, wait, what was that? Never mind. There's so much that they're going through, especially at that age. There's parties at the house, lots of people in and out. So yes, thank you. Okay, so if we just quickly look at this probable cause affidavit, the chronological timeline, we could see that Bryan was stalking the house 12 times, right, in the late evening or early morning hours. And then on August 21st, 2022, that was one of his daytime stalking incidences, it seems. He was detained during a traffic stop, and he was the sole occupant of a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra. The plates and phone number were collected already then, but not based on, of course, this case, because it was months before this even happened. But at least there's body cam of that too. And he was at 1122 King Road between 10:34 a.m. and 11:35 a.m. Alina says, could BK have intended to kill them all, but when Dylan saw him, he ran in fear? That's also a possibility. Okay, so October 14th, Bryan was detained at another traffic stop, and then police body cam shows that he was the sole occupant of the white Elantra. There's also some new documents I want to go over with you guys. So we're going to look through quickly at this. This is the timeline I've got so far that summarizes everything in the probable cause affidavit. I've got an article to show you, 1 or 2 video clips, and then new documents. So just hang in there with me if you don't mind. Okay. Thanks for spending your time here as well. Make sure you like the video and share as well. Hashtag, they're still using Idaho 4. And you can also use Grizzly True Crime. And then if you're on Twitter, I'll retweet that as well. November 12th to 13th, 2022. At 9 p.m. until around 1:45 a.m., Xana and Ethan were at the Sigma Chi party. The other surviving roommate, just remember, we've heard nothing from her at all. They've only included what Dylan said, D.M said, and we haven't heard from that surviving roommate at all. So there will be a lot more information that they didn't share with us. So from 9 until 1:45, Xana and Ethan were at this party, getting home around 1:45. From 10 p.m. until 1:56, Kaylee and Maddie were at the corner club, then the food truck, and then they got home. 2:26 to 2:52, the 10 calls were made to Jack D. And the next day already, the police had spoken to Jack D. 2:42 a.m., Bryan Kohberger's phone is pinging at his apartment. And then at 2:44 a.m., there's WSU surveillance cameras that pick up the Elantra. Here's one, suspect vehicle 1, as they say. One thing I wonder if they say suspect vehicle 1, even though they say they believe this is the only guy in this case. That's what police are saying. But they maintain the model number of the Elantra as well, even though they knew very well from December 29th. They already had the eye on the Elantra. You know what I mean? My point is, if they say suspect vehicle 1, I wonder if there's a suspect vehicle 2, because they're numbering it. You know what I mean? So maybe we're yet to see more information as well. So then at 2:47, Bryan's phone stops reporting to the network. So there he thought he was very clever and probably put it on flight mode. At 2:53 a.m., the surveillance camera picks up the Elantra traveling north on Southeast Nevada Street towards the State Road 270. I still have to do map time. I haven't mapped it out yet. There's a lot of points to consider. This is just a quick summary of what we know of that probable cause affidavit. And then at 3:26 a.m., surveillance cameras actually pick up the Elantra traveling westbound on the 700 block of Indian Hills Drive in Moscow, Idaho. Now, this guy drove around and around, doing multiple loops around that area by the house, 3 loops and friggin' 3-point turns and all sorts of things. I mean, did he really think that they're not going to see the car on cameras? It's a bit odd. And then at 3:26 a.m., westbound on Steiner Avenue at the Idaho State Highway 95 in Moscow, Idaho. At 4 a.m., Xana receives DoorDash Now, some people are saying it might not have been that Jack in the Box that was on the table. That could have been from the night before, another time, because apparently that Jack in the Box place closes around 2. So it could have been something else. And at approximately 4 a.m., the surviving roommate D.M was woken by the sound of what she thought was Kaylee playing with Murphy on the 3rd floor. As we know, Murphy didn't live there permanently. Neither did Kaylee. She was actually just there to show off a car. She came back for that weekend. She was going to be there from Friday till Tuesday. And normally Murphy would be with Jack D from everything I've read. So Dylan just thought, so Kaylee's playing with the dog. At 4:04 a.m., an Elantra is seen driving eastbound on King Road. Shortly after 4 a.m., DM hears, "There's someone here." She thinks it was Kaylee, but she thinks it could have also been Xana. That is scary, to think there's someone here, because there were so many people generally in and out the house. I mean, at that point, maybe Kaylee thought, okay, well, there's someone here. Maybe Jack is here, or we just don't know. At 4:12 a.m., Xana was on TikTok. Someone was saying earlier, maybe they could have captured something like video of this guy. We don't know that yet, on the phone, or I don't know. But at 4:12 a.m., Xana was on TikTok. And then Dylan opened the door sometime after that and thought she heard someone crying or like whimpering coming from Xana's room. And then she heard a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay. I'm going to help you." That I still find very eerie. But I mean, these killers, they do some eerie things. As I said, John Wayne Gacy used to read Bible verses to people while they were dying. So, damn, very scary. Yes, Sarah says we have to focus on Bryan's lawyer, not making him look like a victim to be bullied as a kid, and feeling sorry for him. Exactly. Yeah, at this point, people are feeling more sorry for the suspect than anyone else, which is a bit odd. We've got to channel those feelings correctly. At 4:17 a.m., 1112 King Road security camera picks up distorted audio, a whimper, and a loud thud. The camera is located 50 feet from the west wall of Xana's bedroom. So this is 1112 King Road. I blurred out everyone's faces now. The police were there the next day, of course, but that would be that camera. And law enforcement actually took that camera for a while, and then it was back. Because if you look at all the photos throughout, it was there, and for a time it wasn't there, and then it was back. Okay. Around this time, DM opens her door for the 3rd time and sees a figure dressed in black clothing with a mask on, bushy eyebrows, and walking towards her. So walking towards her would probably be walking towards her. You know, walking towards her would probably not be down the stairs, and walking towards her would be around here and going out the sliding door, right? So maybe he did go there to Xana and Ethan's room second. I'm not sure. Very interesting though. Okay. She said he was 5'10" or taller, athletic but not muscular. He walks past her and she's frozen in fear and locked herself in a room. So that's all we know. But we don't know the rest of it. You know, frozen in fear because of what? What else did she see? What did he say? Did he say, if you tell anyone, I'm going to kill you? Like, we don't know, because she also deleted all her social media after that. I would be crapping myself either way, right? Yes. Okay, so we're almost done with this. Yes, just I don't know what this comment is about, but yes, this. Thank you. With over 8K in chat, it's not easy. It's very difficult for me to see everyone's comments. I try to keep an eye out on it, but while I'm doing presentations and looking over there and everything, sorry if I miss anything. You can always email me, grizzlytruecrime@gmail.com. So at 4:20 a.m., the suspect vehicle is seen leaving the area of King Road at high speed. So the thing is, if it's from 4:04 a.m. until 4:20 a.m., I mean, that sounds like not so much time, but whoa, for a killer, I don't know, that level of adrenaline, the thrill that they may feel, you know, the anger, even if this is a revenge-based thing, or if it's whatever his motive may be, we don't know that. We don't know the why. And he even said, this is the social media stuff, you know, inserting himself in the case apparently on Reddit and on Facebook. If that is him, then he said that the families can't have closure without knowing the why. So it sounds like he would be quite excited to tell them the why. You know, today on Twitter I shared, he looks so much like Lori Vallow that I'm like, damn, what if in some way, and it's not that he's actually genetically connected, but what if in some way he's like reading the same books or thinking the same way? We don't know. We don't know what his motive is, you know? Does he think he's killing zombies or something according to a manual that someone's given him. We don't know what his beliefs are, what he's thinking, what his motive is. It's quite scary, actually. And it sounds like if that's him making those comments, he'd be quite excited to tell the world what the why is. Yes, Janet, I agree. Fantasy killing. And thank you, Kimberly. Yes. Bethany White, I mean, for me, I don't allow the bullying myself personally, but with 8,500 people here, I really hope people won't. But everyone has free speech too, and the mods are doing their absolute best. Thank you, mods. But please, let's not bully anyone, okay? Remember, BK was bullied, but then he bullied others after losing weight and then accused of killing 4 people. Not sure how people can feel bad for him. I know, right? But you know what's so sickening? I like the sassy squash. What's so sickening is that he's going to have a fan club. There's already people comparing who's hotter, him or Ted Bundy. I've already responded to that on Twitter too. Like, none of them are hot. Let's just get that straight. No one is hot over here, okay? Damn. Students being like, which one's hotter, Ted Bundy or this guy? No one. My word. Not sexy. Okay, moving on. Not strong. Cowards with big egos and ridiculous fantasies and no regard for others. No, not hot, not hot. Okay, raise the standards of what you find hot. Okay, so from 4:48 a.m., then his phone is back on the network. Like, what a dumbass to think, I'll put my phone on flight mode from exactly that window of time in which I'll be traveling to this house and murdering 4 people. Like, wow, this defense team's got a lot of work, huh? Thank you, Algo. Exactly. No victim blaming in any way, no attacking each other. Don't fight with each other. But I do know emotions can run high in these cases. Everybody's feeling all sorts of things. It's normal to feel like that. Just keep it grizzly, as we say. There's a lot of new people on this channel. So just keep it grizzly. Okay. At 5:20, so between 4:50 and 5:25, the phone pings show him traveling south. Now this guy's going to a coffee shop and a grocery store wearing surgical gloves. What the hell? Lewiston. He's going south. That too. Okay. Then at 5:25, the Elantra was spotted on 5 cameras in Pullman, Washington. At 5:27, the Elantra was spotted traveling northbound on Stadium Way at Nevada Street and Cougar Way. 5:30 a.m., the phone ping showed him traveling back to his apartment. So he did a whole round trip. And the scary thing is, not hot. Definitely not hot. Damn, no. Okay, so the scary thing is that this guy went back to 1122 King Road at like 9 in the morning. After all that, he's like, this crazy guy just doing this, driving around, going back to his apartment, then going back to 1122 King Road. That is quite something. I don't know what he was doing there. Was he going back thinking, oh crap, I left that knife sheath there. I made a really dumb mistake now. Was he trying to go back for that? Or was he trying to see, the hype? I don't know, flashing lights, for his fantasy. I don't know. We just don't know until we know. So in the trial time, we'll probably learn a lot. I don't know if there'll be cameras there or not. Depends. So if we carry on, we're almost there. At 4 p.m., Sergeant Blaker and Brett Payne respond to 1122 King Road. So remember, this wasn't them responding at 4. There was already a whole team there. These ones responded to process the scene and help with that, right? So Xana and Ethan were discovered deceased on the 2nd floor in Xana's room. Kaylee and Maddie were discovered deceased on a single bed in Maddie's room. Murphy is in Kaylee's room, and Jack Takura was interviewed on November 13th. So what really gave him away is the knife sheath, which had DNA on it, the van's shoe print right outside Dylan's door, which is scary to think about, and then the bushy eyebrows as well. That too. As we know, where the victims were found as well. Yes. Casually, Christina says, excited for map time. Me too. I just have to map it all out. John Kelly was just on the show for an hour. If you're only joining now, he was just here. So go back to the beginning if you want to see that and just watch it at like 1.25 or 1.5 speed to catch up if you want to, or just carry on watching here. We won't be at too much longer. And then you can watch that on the replay afterwards. So yes, these guys, they found the isolated DNA, found on the button of this knife sheath, which is a K-bar USMC with the insignia and all like this knife. And the shoe print from the van's shoe. Fuck this guy. The hell? Okay, so that's the little presentation. One more time, if we go through this, I will put this link in. Thank you to everyone who sent this to me as well. I've seen it for quite some time. It's really good. I like it a lot. So this is the house, right? Without being blurred out. It's all blurred out now on Google Maps, of course. I believe this is the house where the camera was. Where the camera was, where that heard the sounds, right? Or here. And then, so front door, this one would be BF's room. This one was more like a storage room, which we saw from that body cam footage from the noise complaints. Xana's room, the living room, Dylan's room on that side, and then Maddie's room over here, Kaylee's room over here. Okay, so if we go in, going in. I'm just looking. That's the front door. Front door is the room on the right that was more like a storage room. And there would be Bethany's room. And then we go up to the lounge. And we saw this on the TikToks. If you remember the TikToks where they were all imitating each other, they made it in this lounge as well. There's this good vibes. I mean, wow, this house, I mean, whew, I think it would be so scary to... They're probably going to rent it out again, you know? Don't you think? That's going to be scary. I hope they get more security here either way, even though this guy's in a cage. Street lights, patrol security. I don't know. Just, I would be so scared to live there. Sorry if I'm missing things. Has info been released about the search of his home? No, that has not been released. And I actually asked someone today about that because they say, let me just quickly find it. Okay. They say, here's why the search warrant for the Moscow murder suspect's apartment is sealed. According to court documents, releasing the search warrant would cause serious and imminent threats to law enforcement and could prematurely end the investigation. And the professional that I asked, that I'm keeping anonymous, said, my opinion is that it's just fancy language that a judge will use to say, if released, it could jeopardize the ongoing investigation. So they're keeping that close to the vest. I wonder what they found in that apartment. I'm pretty sure this guy would have, like, you know, writings and all sorts of things, right? What do you think? So someone's saying, check your email, but the problem is there's so many of them. I've got 294 unread emails. Oh, man. Okay. I'm looking. Just hold on. Someone made a photo with him with a mask on? Well, yeah, that's pretty scary. Let's go here quickly. Damn. I don't know if he had a mask like this on, but we just don't know, actually. Yes, map time. Yes. Okay. So going back to this. So this down here, if you're coming up here, then that would be bedroom 2B. And that's what the officers were saying on the probable cause affidavit. They came up here and walked there. There's a bathroom, and they went to the room, and they found Xana on the floor, and they also found Ethan in the room. And then going this way to the other rooms, this is DM's bedroom, and he would have come through the sliding door. So I wonder which one exactly first. We have to figure that out exactly from the PCA. I'd rather be careful than to say it was definitely this. But yeah, through the sliding door, yeah, and he exited through that sliding door. That's what she saw, right? So this would be Dylan's room, and then going up the stairs and another flight. Okay. And then there's a bathroom here. So we're looking like that. Here's a bedroom 2, bedroom 3B. Kitchen is below. Okay, I just want to, sorry if I'm turning too fast or something. Are you getting dizzy? I hope not. There's the bathroom. So we were wondering, was Murphy in the bathroom or Kaylee's room? Murphy was in Kaylee's room. Going this way. And going around the corner to Maddie's room. Yeah. Confirmed as victim Madison Mogen's bedroom. Mm-hmm. That's it, Joe. I think they should tear down that house and put up a memorial for the victims. Who's going to want to live in that house now? I agree. Okay. We can look again. I've got all the documents and the latest ones that came out today as well. Bedroom 3A. And thank you to everyone who bought the docket some coffees. He's our Grizzly document chaser, our Grizzly document hunter. He's got a YouTube channel, The Docket 71. And if you want to buy him a coffee to say thanks for all the documents he gets for me that I read to you, buymeacoffee.com/the docket. So thank you to everyone who did that yesterday. That was really nice. So here, confirmed 3A, confirmed as victim Madison Mogen's bedroom. So Maddie and Kaylee were both found in this room. Wow. So I don't know if you've seen this everywhere already, but yeah, it's quite. I've been through this a few times, and then to go over it now, knowing with the probable cause affidavit, wow, quite scary, right? D says the dog barked, but did the dog attempt to attack him? I don't know if a Labradoodle is such an attacking dog. What do you guys think? Okay, I quickly want to see this. There was this one thing here. Wait, where is it? This. Here's where they talk about the trash that he was putting in his neighbor's trash. Let's have a listen quickly.
So just to give that some context, Anderson, you've got the Pennsylvania State Police and FBI surveillance team in a rural area where it's very hard to do surveillance because, strange cars would stand out. So they're watching the house from a distance. And what I'm told by the law enforcement source is that Kohberger comes out a number of times. He cleans the car extensively, almost as if, you were going to clean it to sell it as a new car, inside, outside, every inch of it. And during much of these trips in and outside of the house, the source says he's wearing surgical gloves. This is what they're observing in the surveillance. The other thing is there's a period where he comes out at 4 o'clock in the morning with 2 bags of garbage, walks by their own garbage and puts it in the neighbor's bins. So when they did the trash cover to recover his garbage, they took that as well. And of course, that is the search that led to the recovery of DNA, which then matched to the sheath and the knife, according to the affidavit.
And it's that familial DNA that they found the father's DNA so they could tell it was the son, which, as you and I have talked about, can be controversial.
It can be. And, there's only 12 states that allow that as that kind of evidence. But that was to reach probable cause. The first thing they did when that SWAT team went through the door and took him into custody was they had another search warrant, which allowed them to take hair and swabs and collect his DNA from his person, which is now in the process of being matched in that lab. So they're going to get from a highly probable statistical answer to one that's going to be fairly certain.
Also, John, we've been waiting for more than 7 weeks for the details that we learned today. What do you make of the evidence, the timeline of the investigation?
So that's really interesting, Anderson.
I'm going to pause it there and put this in the pinned comments if you want to watch the whole interview. I just find that really interesting to hear that he was cleaning his car so much and putting his trash in the neighbor's trash. Wow. Very interesting that as well. And then, before we get to the documents, here they say, Idaho suspect in student murders thoroughly cleaned vehicle, also seen wearing surgical gloves multiple times outside family home. The guy is smiling here as well, oh my word. Smirking, I shall say. The man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students in November had thoroughly cleaned the interior and exterior of his car and was also seen wearing surgical gloves multiple times before being apprehended, a law enforcement source tells CNN. Bryan Kohberger, 28, is currently the sole suspect in the gruesome stabbings of students Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, who were found dead inside their off-campus house in Moscow, Idaho on November 13th. Kohberger was pursuing a PhD in criminal justice at Washington State University at the time of the killings. He cleaned his car inside and outside, not missing an inch, according to the law enforcement source. The source, who spoke on the condition of anonymity, was briefed on observations made by investigators during 4 days of surveillance leading up to Kohberger's arrest at his family's Pennysylvania home on December 30th. As Kohberger now remains behind bars in Idaho, awaiting his January 12th status hearing, new details have emerged, elucidating some of the suspect's movements in the days leading up to his arrest. So, a surveillance team assigned to Kohberger was tasked with 2 missions, according to multiple law enforcement sources: keeping eyes on Kohberger so they could arrest him as soon as a warrant was issued, and try to obtain an object that would yield a DNA sample from Kohberger, which could then be compared to the DNA evidence found at the crime scene. Can you imagine what an incredible job they did, the forensic team, to isolate DNA, even though, yes, it was on the knife sheath, but to isolate it compared to all the other DNA in the house, Pretty obvious place to find it, though, right? In one instance, prior to Kohberger's arrest, authorities observed him leaving his family home around 4 a.m. and putting trash bags in the neighbors' garbage bins, according to the source. At that point, agents recovered garbage from the Kohberger's family trash bins and what was observed being placed into the neighbors' bins, the source said. The recovered items were sent to the Idaho State Lab per the source. Last Friday, a Pennsylvania State Police SWAT team then moved in on the Kohberger family home, breaking down the door and windows in what is known as a dynamic entry, a tactic used in rare cases to arrest high-risk suspects, the source added. And can you imagine how scary that would be, actually, even for the team, even though they're trained, they pumped, they're going in. But to go in and be like, holy crap, imagine if he tries to run for it, or if he has a gun and tries to, shoot himself, other people, whatever. It would be very dangerous as well, going in. Yeah, I also wondered about that. The gag order isn't working, apparently. Just wondering about that a little bit. Who is talking? Good point. Kohberger is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary. He did not enter a plea at the hearing. Okay, the victim's father said the suspect was hunting them. Steve Goncalves, whose daughter Kaylee was among those kills, told CNN's Jim Scuto in an interview that aired Friday morning he has no reason to think his daughter was the killer's target in particular. Nobody understands exactly why, but he was stalking them. He was hunting them, Goncalves said. He was a person looking for an opportunity, and it just happened to be in that house, and it's hard to take. She had her phone right next to her, and she couldn't call 911. So these were just girls that went to sleep that night, and a coward, a hunter that went out and he picked his little opponent that was girls. That's probably why the house was targeted. None of these girls deserved this, Goncalves said. The real problem we have is we have an individual that thought it was okay to attack other human beings. That's what I'm going to focus on. He said, I'd be a little surprised if there wasn't a clearer touch point that would suggest that he was interested in 1 or 2 of the people more than he was the others. Goncalves was in the courtroom for Kohberger's appearance. He knows I want him to look me in the eye. So he didn't. He didn't give me that opportunity, Goncalves said. He's scared to look at me in the eyes and start to understand what's about to happen to him. He picked the wrong family. We're not scared of conflict. We're not running. We're coming at him. Let's just see if I could play this for you guys. Or we have to unmute the side.
Do I get a hint?
Stand by.
I do want to ask you before we go, you were in court. You had the chance to see Kohberger, perhaps to look him in the eyes. What were you feeling at that moment?
I was pretty angry. I was pretty heated. I wanted him to look me in the eye. He knows I want him to look him in the eye. So he didn't give me that opportunity. When he was back in his home state, Pennsylvania, he did turn around and look for his parents and not me. He didn't give me that. So I think he's understands that I'm not going to see something in his eyes that I want to see. I want to see an innocent man. But I feel like he's scared to look at me in the eyes and start to understand what's about to happen to him. Yeah. He picked the wrong family, and not scared of a conflict, and we're not scared. We're not running. We're coming at him, and the defendant has his hands full.
Did you sense anything from him, any emotion in that moment, in that courtroom?
I did. I sensed somebody shocked and scared and not prepared. Almost like a sense of this is nothing like I thought it was going to be. So his mannerisms, his body language, I'm pretty in tune with certain guys. I played sports my whole life. I've been in different gyms. I've been in conference rooms with white collar. I can sense confidence, and I did not sense that at all. I sensed somebody who was flaring, scared, and worried.
Oh man, that is just what they're going through. Incredible. So bad. I'm so glad they're so brave and can go there and we're going to look you in the eye. That's not going away. Just want to check my mic is on. Yes. So Cammy made a good point saying, I think that's the Pennsylvania people that were talking and the gag orders for Idaho. Yes. And the arrest was before the gag order. That's true. Cammy, very, very good point. Thank you for that. Exactly. Okay. And then here as well, just update quickly, but then we'll look at the documents. The FBI denies that it was the agency that asked cops to pull over Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger, because yesterday there was all this news going around that it was the FBI that had planned those 2 stops when Bryan and his dad were making their way from Pullman, Washington, all the way to Pennsylvania. But the FBI says it wasn't their agency. So I won't read the whole thing, but that's what they say. The FBI denied asking Indiana cops to pull over Bryan Kohberger as he drove with his dad to Pennsylvania, though the agency was part of a law enforcement coalition that made the request. The December 15th traffic stops conducted on the vehicle being driven by Bryan Kohberger in Indiana were not requested or directed by the FBI. The feds made the clarification after a law enforcement source told the news station an FBI surveillance team tracked the pair during their cross-country drive from Washington state to Pennsylvania. Members of a law enforcement coalition, including the FBI, investigating Kohberger, asked Indiana police. So there were people that asked, but not the FBI. So asked Indiana police to pull the white Hyundai Elantra over that day, according to the news outlet. The task force wanted Indiana cops to grab footage of the suspect and his hands, the source said, possibly to check them for marks or wounds caused when he allegedly used a large knife to kill 4 University of Idaho students on November 13th, which is interesting. Makes me think that they thought maybe there will be, or maybe they had found even DNA from him maybe cutting himself or injuring himself or something like that, especially with the defensive wounds and all things like that. Okay, so we got that. The last one I want to show you before I show you documents is, I think it's this one. John Kelly was on Fox News as well yesterday.
Others were not, obviously. How familiar was the suspect with the victims? Joining me now is John Kelly, expert criminal profiler who's interviewed numerous serial killers, including John Wayne Gacy.
And he's a Grizzly.
Now, John, there was a witness to this, again, the roommate who saw the murderer as he was walking down the stairs. He walked right by her, and presumably as he was leaving, which leads a lot of people to wonder, you know, why did he leave her? Why didn't he get rid of a potential witness against him? Why would that be?
You know, I think he was in a rush to get out of the house, Laura. Usually with these types of killers, at a certain point, don't forget, he's tired. He's killed a number of people already. At this point in time, maybe something's getting to him and he just wants to put himself between him and the bodies as quick as possible. He just wants to get out of Dodge as fast as he can. And he just felt it might be more risky. It was definitely something that he felt was in his favor. He was dressed in black. He had a mask on. You know, I think he just had his fill for the night and wanted out of there. It was too risky for him.
A couple of other interesting details. His sister appeared as a character named Lori in this 2011 film called 2 Days Back. It was a horror flick. It was about a group of young students who go hiking in these remote woods and meet their their grisly end at the hands of this maniacal killer who's won their trust. And from everything that we've heard about the scene of this crime, John, it was horrific. Without, we don't know all the details, but it was horrific. I mean, the police were visibly shaken who arrived at the scene. Is there something in the culture of what people are marinating in today that could be adding to the depravity of these murders?
Well, it's certainly always possible. I mean, there's plenty of violence all over. If you just want to put on the television set, you're going to see violence in a lot of different places. I just really believe that this type of person, just has this volcanic rage inside that's going to explode on his victim of choice. And I think that, goes without saying. They all have different types of victims. And, usually underneath it all is a lot of rage and of course, they want to control and dominate their victims. And it's usually through violence.
I do have new documents, so we'll go through them. Let's quickly just look at this, where they say PhD murder suspect bizarre explanation of why he was in Idaho on the day of the murders. Bryan Kohberger death threat claims telling an inmate being near Moscow, the Idaho crime scene, because the shopping was better than in Washington state where he lived and studied. Who knew the shopping was better in Idaho? In a new report, the Washington State PhD criminology student suspected of slaying 4 University of Idaho college students as they slept is alleged to have told a Pennsylvania inmate that he had traveled to the crime scene because the shopping was better in Moscow. He sounds like Richard Allen when he's like, I was just on the bridge watching the fish, you know? Like, here's that guy, the shopping's better. The hell? Bryan Kohberger, 28, was threatened as he sat behind a glass screen inside his jail cell after he was arrested at his parents' home in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania on December 30th, a source told News Nation. And this whole F you, I'm going to kill you was fake. That was apparently very fake, okay? So Bryan Enton himself confirmed that. So let's leave that article there for now, shall we? I'm just like, wow. Yeah, I believe he's by himself as well. Batgirl says, I don't believe that. He's not with any other inmates. He's by himself. Yes. Wow, who knows what this guy's going to come up with next, right? All right, so what I want to do quickly, and then we'll call it a day because we don't want to be here forever, right? Is thank you again to the docket for chasing down these documents yesterday. Wow, the probable cause affidavit, he got it for us real quick. So we went over this. Just want to see here quickly. Okay, this is what we went over yesterday, the probable cause affidavit. Okay, so I'm just going to go through it like this quickly because there's some new documents at the bottom here. There's 19 pages. And they've taken out the redacted page in the new copy that was updated today as well. So this we saw, if you missed it yesterday, the counts that he's facing: burglary, murder in the first degree, 4 counts. No bail. He's hereby committed to the sheriff of the county of Latah, state of Idaho. Yes, Jenna's like, thank you, the docket. Yes, thank you to the docket. Okay. And scrolling down, I think, is this a new one? Let's see. In the District Court of the 2nd Judicial District of the State of Idaho. Okay, State of Idaho, plaintiff versus Bryan C. Kohberger. Also the charges. I actually missed some comments earlier, so just hold on one second. Kim was saying there's pictures of inside his apartment on Twitter. I haven't seen that, so if you are on Twitter, please send it to me either on my email or Twitter DMs. And also, someone was saying, you know, people are getting confused if it was a ski mask. Apparently, he was wearing like a Rona-styled mask. Not that we know. We don't have confirmation of this, but it might not be a ski mask. It could just be like a mask over his mouth type thing. And what else did I miss? That the knife sheath DNA was apparently inside the button. So he may have touched it when he got it and then sterilized it and didn't get into the receiving end of the stud. That's true as well. Could be. Yeah, Rob, you say the docket is such a great resource for you. You know why? Because we love documents over here. And you know who else loves documents? The docket. He chases these documents, and I appreciate it so much. Like, I love documents. Okay, so let's just continue down here. Count 1, we saw this yesterday. Burglary, murder in the first degree for each victim as well. And then I think it was this: upon review of the information provided under oath alleging the defendant committed the offenses of, we've got that, okay. There's one more. They've also got, there's other documents too, where they're talking about the witness, not witness protection. You know, that he may not contact certain people. Okay, let's look at this. Bryan C, this one, I think it's this one. Bryan C. Kohberger does hereby invoke his rights to remain silent and to counsel pursuant to the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendments to the United States Constitutional Article 1, Section 13 of the Idaho Constitution with respect to any and all questioning and or interrogation, regardless of the subject matter, including but not limited to matters that may bear on or relate to arrest, searches and seizures, bail, pretrial release or detention, evidence at trial, guilt or innocence, forfeitures, or that may be relevant to sentencing, enhanced punishments, factors applicable under the Idaho Code relevant to punishment, restitution, immigration status, or consequences resulting from arrest or conviction, appeals, or the post-trial proceedings. Mr. Kohberger requests that the Latah County prosecutor ensure that this invocation of rights is honored by forwarding a copy of it to all law enforcement agents, government officials, and employees associated with the investigation of any matters relating to the defendant. Any contact with the defendant must be made through the defendant's undersigned counsel. That was dated 30th of December already, 2022. So there's that. And then, hold on one second. Okay. I'm just looking. Okay. And then, in the District Court of the 2nd Judicial District of the State of Idaho in and for the County of Latah, State of Idaho Plaintiff versus Bryan C. Kohberger, comes now Ann C. Taylor, Public Defender, and pursuant to court appointment, hereby appears on a limited basis until an agreement is reached between Latah County, Kootenai County, and Ann Taylor for and behalf of Bryan C. Kohberger, the above-named defendant. Notice is given that the defendant herewith asserts all rights accorded him or her under the 5th, 6th, 14th Amendments to the Constitution of the United States and under Article, is that 1 and 13? Yes, of the Constitution of the State of Idaho, and all prophylactic measures imposed upon the state pursuant to said constitutional provisions, including but not necessarily limited to the right to remain silent and the right to counsel. Of course, as we know, his rights are all that matters right now. Doesn't that suck? It just is true. He's got rights. He's got rights to his vegan meals. He's got rights to remain silent now. No agent of the state or person acting in such capacity is to question the defendant regarding any act, whether charged or uncharged. This was also from the 30th of December. And we've got one more here. Also, just to address a comment made earlier. Okay, so Truth Seeker said, I have respected this channel for reporting facts, but an inmate statement is not a fact. We already went through this with the lady who was in jail. I agree, Truth Seeker. You just don't know the lengths that that media goes to sometimes. And there's been a lot of this, especially in the last 6 days or so, of things reported as fact. Like, okay, the FBI definitely, they caused this Elantra to be stopped. And the FBI is like, no, we didn't do that. And then it's like, okay, Bryan was literally exposing himself in prison to other people. And then it's like, nope, that's not true. So yeah, we got to take every media article with a grain of salt, no matter where it's coming from. You know, some people are like, I don't watch CNN. I don't watch Fox News. I don't watch this one. I don't. I try to read all of them and see what's true and what isn't. And yeah, I get it. Like another inmate statements. Wow, we went through it already with that other lady. I get it. Thank you so much, Jillian. Yes, coffee for the docket. Okay. So, one more here. I think it's one more. This one says, comes now Bryan C. Kohberger, by and through his attorney, Ann C. Taylor, public defender, and hereby moves this court for an order directing the Latah County Prosecutor's Office to preserve the crime scene. Okay, remember this? Located at 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho, including the home and outbuildings, vehicles, and curtilage. Further, Mr. Kohberger requests the court to order the Latah County Prosecutor's Office to preserve all evidence in its custody or under its control or in the control of their agents. Further, Mr. Kohberger requests the court to order the prosecution to notify defense counsel prior to any potentially destructive testing and or examinations. This motion is made so that the defense counsel may take a view of the scene in order to effectively and constitutionally represent Mr. Kohberger, and is made pursuant to Idaho Criminal Rule 16, the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendments. Okay, so that was also signed and dated there. And this one is, we're almost there. If you're not a nerd, you don't like documents, you're like, what the hell is this? We're going through documents real quick. Then we'll just see what else there is on Twitter. Then we'll call it a day. The court finds defendant indigent pursuant to the public defender's order to represent the defendant in all matters pertaining to this action. So that's why they went back to that crime scene. They took a lot of photos. They, the defense hired experts to reconstruct the crime scene as well. If you missed that, don't know if you saw that. See the crime scene, home, outbuildings, everything. So yes, they're going to do their very best to bring the strongest defense possible. And yes, he needs it. He needs it. Okay. So I'm just going to close this document. Thank you again to the docket. And then one more thing. We've done the virtual tour. Yes, is Twitter. Let's go look what's happening on Twitter quickly. They're mostly using this hashtag Idaho 4. Hancock County Sheriff Department disputes reports that this traffic stop of Bryan Kohberger was at the request of anyone telling me it was a routine stop for following a van too closely. Oh, yes. Everyone who uses this definition to shut down any type of question. Okay. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be. So there was this bizarre explanation of the shopping being better. This, I don't know if you've seen this clip.
I mean, people think Idaho is so old-fashioned and outback, but these guys, they hit a home run, man. That affidavit is impressive, and I'm glad to be wrong. I wanted to be wrong, and I told them to their face. I looked them in their eyes and said, prove me wrong, and all is forgiven. And here we are, and all is forgiven. And I'll say that on camera, and I'll tell everybody, I was concerned, but I was wrong. They were right, and I'm okay with that. I have my person now.
There was quite a bit of information in that affidavit. I was actually surprised there was so much information in the affidavit. But it looks like it's a solid case.
They did a great job on a very subtle finding, if you will, on the sheath to find his connection there, find the DNA. And I think that's the money.
And everybody was assuming, what are they doing? They're doing nothing behind it. There was a reason they were keeping all this information close to the vest. It's a very sensitive investigation, but it was excellent police work and how
it was. I don't know why people are throwing shade at the police either, right? Yes, Kathleen says, thanks for prompting that. They'd probably cut John off. That would be typical. That does happen. Usually if you're on these shows, not that I've been on them, but from everyone I've heard that it's like, damn, you're there. And they're like, okay, you got a minute, say what you need to say. And then they will also cut the episode or what was said after that. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to check my email one more time. Then I'm going to call it a day. I just want to check because you guys say check your email, but there's a lot of emails to check. I'm going to have to probably go through that later. There's 299 now. Yes. Okay. I mean, you're saying an apology might be in order here, Mr. G. If you guys have seen the full interview with Kaylee's parents, go check it out. If you haven't seen it, I will link it below afterwards so you can go check it out. Yes. Stefan says, just pause the show. Okay. Now check your 200 emails, G. 299. Okay. And that's since yesterday. So wish me luck there because I just love admin, don't I? I'm such an admin queen. Okay. Love presentations. Admin, not so much. All right. So thank you so much for joining me today. I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover. We had John Kelly on the show for an hour. We did presentation time, going over the probable cause affidavit again. Looked at what's important, looked at some updates as well. I'm looking at the latest here. There's not too much there. Shared some articles with you, some clips and things. And so that's it for now. I'll be back if there's more news. I hope that you have a wonderful Friday afternoon or evening ahead, a wonderful weekend ahead. I mean, this case has been so crazy. There's like news after news after news. I think it might quieten down just a little bit now, but I'm not sure. If it does or doesn't, I'll be here. Paul is like 299 new email. Damn. And then you should see my Twitter inbox and everything else. Thank you so much, mods. I know today was very hard as well. Wishing you all a wonderful weekend. Thank you for all the super stickers and everything. And especially if you made it over to Patreon, thank you so much. The documents are there for you, okay? If you want to see documents and read through them in your own time, documents on Patreon, exclusive videos, things like that. And it's a great way to support the work that I do. Okay, make sure that you are subscribed. Let me take slow mode off before we end. I always like doing this at the end. When you all want to say goodbye, like really fast, I take slow mode right off. And I put subscriber mode for any duration. So if you subscribe for 10 seconds now, you can talk. If you're just a lurker, So talk away. Let's see your messages. I'll pop some of them on screen as well. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.